while I'm eating lunch. Anything else that happens with the internet, I'm usually on my phone. For example, one of the things, I don't just stare at Facebook or Twitter or whatever when I'm going to bed. Granted, this still isn't necessarily good for you, but I usually either listen to some sort of podcast, or I watch. There's a very specific Twitch streamer that posts these really long streams of this game that I'm into. And so 20 minutes in, I'll just be nodding off and then I go to
bed. Okay. Yeah.
Which is better than just doom scrolling for an hour before you sleep.
No, yeah. I see. You're right. That's a good difference. Yeah, I guess, like I said, in my situation, it's just having all these extra computers just gives me, I just use whatever's closest. It's nice to have it just be near something. Whereas you seem to have a very, like I said, maybe not rigid, but structured setup.
Yeah, structured is the right word for it.
You have a way to do it. But the thing is, I like my flexibility. If one of my 20 laptops goes down, I got options.
That is true. I will say, if my one laptop that I guess I could try to boot up the old brick, but something tells me when I turned it off, there was I feel like its spirit dissipated. I don't know if it would ever turn back on, if I'm being honest.
Are you gonna bury it? Or are you gonna go outside the backyard?
I don't know.
Shovel?
But here's the thing: the saddest thing for me about the old laptop is that there were a lot of stickers on it that I really enjoyed, and having to start from scratch on that, it feels weird.
Yeah. Okay.
It had a certain personality, and I've moved on now, and I have to build this new identity for this new computer. I guess identity's not the right word, but you know what I'm looking for.
I will say, because I do this every time. I get a new device, laptop, phone, whatever, and I keep the old one. I'm like, I'll probably use it. But if you don't use it within the first week or so, you're never going to use it again. That's just what I think. I still have my laptop before my current old one, sitting around my parents' house. They asked me do you want me to throw this away? It's probably from 2010 or something. That's how old it is. I'm like, nah, just I might need it in the future.
You'll probably maybe use it at some point.
I've got 3 old phones too. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Well, just in case. You never know. What if I need that phone from 2009?
You never know. I mean, my old phones have all been either handed down, because I have a large family. Usually what happens is either it gets traded in with our phone plan or whatever, or if that doesn't happen, I have 6 various younger siblings and cousins that it could potentially go to. They just get it, and they just get a slightly older phone than everyone else.
My family's not a handed-down kind of family. It's more of a spoiled family. Yeah, everyone gets their own. So
that's. I mean, I get. Well, that depends on. Well, another thing related. It's I could go on such a hard tangent right now about how kids shouldn't have phones, or if they do, they should be BlackBerries, but I'm not going to do that. I think it makes sense to have younger kids have worse phones. It's if you're gonna give them an iPhone, it's maybe at the very least they won't get as addicted to whatever nonsense if it runs slower and is worse at what it does. But they can still text their friends and do whatever they're gonna do.
It's Instagram keeps crashing on their old iPhone, so they can't use it, I guess. Oh well.
No, that's literally happened with one of my cousins. My youngest cousin, she was I don't really use, I think it was Snapchat, because it's it doesn't really run really well on this super old phone that I have. And I'm
Oh, that's good.
I mean, Snapchat's not, not that bad of a...
Yeah, Snapchat famously uses 20 gigabytes of memory.
Yeah.
So Can't. This is the Experience Podcast with me and someone else.
There's not anyone else. It's just me. I'm the someone else.
This is Chandler. We do.
Yeah,
we have someone else who's racing home responsibly though, to get back on. We'll see when they come on. I guess if at this point it's been a bit. But Chandler is here and he's got a tangent to go on, and I interrupted him for it. So I'll let you go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So here is because a lot of people are like, no person under the age of 13 should have any kind of technology ever. And I'm like, that's not quite the solution, because A, they'll like hate you for it, and B, like they'll probably just be using a bunch of technology whenever they go to their friends' houses and like have the same brain rot occurring. So it's like, they can have technology, you just have to like watch them and like be a responsible parent. You make sure, like, if they do that, first of all, they shouldn't have unrestricted access to the internet, but they can have the technology. Like, if you give a kid, like, I don't know, give them like a drawing tablet if they're into art, and like if you give them an iPad with like fucking whatever, I don't know anything about artist software, but like put artist software on the iPad and not TikTok, they're going to use the artist software, and then they're going to get really good at art, and now you have a child that's good at art. Congratulations, you had to do almost nothing except not let them access the brain rot of the internet whenever they want it. I'm so lucky that the internet was like bad enough as I was growing up that I didn't get completely like lost in the sludge. Like, I know so many of the, like, my friends that are just even slightly younger than me are like, God, I hate everything about the way the internet is, but I'm addicted to it now, and I don't have enough mental energy to like dig myself out of it. Anyway, that's the majority of the tangent I wanted to go
on. I have a question, and I'm wondering if you can answer it, because I'm not rich enough to have these streaming services with no ads. Okay, some of them I have ads. All right, I'm not afraid to admit it. Okay, I'm putting myself out there. I think it's Hulu is the only. Well, it's really just Hulu that's the only one. But I got ads with it. Okay, so I've been seeing quite a few ads recently.
Yeah.
Where I'm not sure exactly like how the scripted part of it is, but the point is that Instagram says they're supporting some I think it's Instagram is supporting some government resolution to limit social media access to for kids under the age of, I forget what age, 12, whatever it is. Like, I guess there's some bill or something about that. Why is Instagram so, what are they getting out of this, right? Why are they so interested in limiting access to these kids? Is it advertising? Is it an advertising thing? Is it because they want to have advertisers feel a little safer about just advertising to adults?
That's enough.
Chase, weigh in since you didn't hear any.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it says my microphone is fucking muted. That's incredible. Also, sorry about the traffic. That was god awful for once. Weigh in on what now?
Instagram is supporting a bill that 13-year-olds should have like restricted access to the internet or something. I don't know. I just stole the show from you on that, Daniel. Sorry.
Oh, I would say just be a better parent, lol.
That's what I'm saying. And also, like, good luck enforcing that.
Yeah.
How is that going to be enforceable in any way, shape, or form? Like, any kind of technology. Okay. Now I'm gonna go down this path, and do not let this be taken as I think that AI as it's going is a super good thing and everyone should do it all the time. No, I hate AI and everything about it. But I hear people calling for like the government to do something about AI and like regulate it in some way. And I'm like, I mean, maybe, like, I don't even disagree with your premise, but what the fuck do you think they're gonna do? They're all old boomers that don't even understand Facebook. Like, what do you think they're gonna do?
Yeah, nothing competent, that's for sure.
And even if they do come up with, it'll be nigh on unenforceable. It's like they.
Okay. Hold on. Before we go too off the rails, or maybe I should let it go. But I guess my question was more directed at what is Instagram getting out of this, right? Why are they? Because I've seen this ad so many times. So why are they so headfast on doing this?
Probably
I think it's
right?
an thing. My guess is that it's an advertiser thing because they've had things before of like, I mean, pretty much every social media's had a issue where advertisers have pulled their ads because someone posted something terrible on their platform.
That's what I was assuming. I was wondering if there was something else to it. I guess that's all it is. No. But the bill or whatever aside, right? The effectiveness of what the proposed bill would be. I'm just like, wow, Instagram is really pushing this. Don't
this
like crazy social media thing.
Yeah. Well, that ship sailed a long time ago. Long fucking time ago. So, that's about it. Anyway.
All right, that's the podcast. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, of course. So, now that I'm fashionably late and ruining the flow, how are you, Chandler? I haven't spoken to you since like late 2022, right?
That was way more specific than I have absolutely no idea if I'm being.
Something like that.
Is that true? I thought you guys have been on recently together. That's not. I can't. Right?
No, well, it's been a while.
It doesn't really matter.
I'm gonna figure this out. You guys talk or whatever. Do whatever you want.
Try to track down whatever episode.
To the archives, the library.
You see, I will ask you this. Have you ever listened to any of the podcasts that you have been on? Or honestly, any of the podcasts?
Just one. Honest to God. I don't know, I just kind of...
Have been on or not been on?
That I've been on, yes.
Okay.
The rest of the time, I'm like, oh God, my voice, I can't stand it. No, thank you.
Yeah, that's fair. Very, again, the only good episode of this podcast is Old Women with Sticks, and I will stand by that until I die.
Podcast for silent film or something?
I am, Dan, I'm sure the answer is no, Daniel, but has Dan ever said anything about being on the podcast again, or is he just completely, you've lost him for good?
I think we've lost him for good. He doesn't respond. Well, no, that's not true. He is great because at least he responds to my messages. He just says no every time. So,
like that's almost. I feel like it's almost worse than like just getting ghosted because it's like eventually it's like, all right, you figure it out. But no, he's reaffirming the no every time.
I think I've mentioned this before.
No.
I'd rather you reaffirm. I'd rather have the response.
Okay.
And that's also, and mostly because like, you should just do it and be straightforward, but also because I've gotten unghosted before.
Unghosted?
I've asked people to go on the podcast, like I'll send like 2 or 3 messages, they don't respond, and then then eventually they'll be like, oh sorry, I just saw this, whatever. I'm like, first of all, what? But they'll be like, yeah, I'll come on next week. I can't remember who did that recently. You know what? No, I was gonna say maybe it was you, Chandler. I don't think it was you.
No, I don't. I've been pretty consistent about being on the podcast.
But yeah, some people there was one or two people recently that did that. I was like, whoa, you okay? Yeah, sure, you can come back on. Yeah, unghosting. Don't do it because you shouldn't be ghosting in the first place.
We all yearn to be on the experience.
This is where you make it. Like this is where you cut your teeth. So
this is the. Sorry, if you hear me yelp in pain or if you hear meows in the background, my cat is demanding attention at the moment.
That's what they do.
What do you want?
Attention.
You see, here's the thing. He yells at me, I pet him, and then he continues to yell at me, and then destroys my hand for even being in it.
This is how they operate. You are a food slave.
My partner wants to get another cat, and I'm like, are you sure about that? Not even that I wouldn't like another cat. I love the cat we have, and I'm sure we would get another very good cat, but the chaos that this one brings is second to none. Okay, I'm going into the other room. You can begin here.
All right, this is the Cat Cast and the Cat Experience with Cat, Chandler Cattons, and somebody else.
True. Pretty true. All right, I've got an experience to talk about from last weekend that'll probably take up at least some time.
Oh, okay.
I went to Medieval Times for my partner's birthday.
Oh, excellent.
Which, I went to Medieval Times when I was like, I must have been like 9 or 10. I was very young and I remembered very little about it, other than the fact that they don't give you utensils. So we went back and he had never been. So, it was like, cause, you expect it to be super like, campy and silly and fun, but like otherwise kind of just like a normal show. They put on a hell of a show for a Medieval Times in a mall in North Georgia. Like, I came in expecting like a 3-star show, and it was like a 4.2. It was good. I can highly recommend it. The jousting was
beautiful,
surprisingly impressive, and also our night won, so I'm biased. You know how it works? They have like a bunch of separate night sections. Yeah.
I went to a medieval a sim, I guess. It had to be like 10, 12 years ago, something like that. Yeah. Got a nice, got big ass wooden swords out of it, so that was fun.
They really do be selling you stuff. That's the one. That's my biggest complaint is that like, they try to like turn the lights off and like be all dramatic, but then they would have like the people trying to sell you glowy swords like hot dogs at a baseball stadium. And it's just like directly in your face. It's just like rapidly flashing lights while I'm trying to watch horses do horse things.
Yeah, a little epilepsy in Medieval Times.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I can appreciate and I will say they probably make like 30% of their revenue off of just selling glowy swords to children that are super excited. But it does take a little bit away from the grandeur of the experience.
Yeah. I remember the other thing I liked about it was there's this giant fucking like mutton or whatever, like giant fucking like bones of meat, just like this huge fucking leg or whatever. I was like, Jesus, how the hell do you eat those?
It was chicken for us. Maybe they have different meats at different places. But yeah, it was like half of a chicken, and it was like, you'd expect like for, a feast for hundreds of people that like the chicken would be mid. It was like fantastic. Like that was probably the best part of the meal. It was like super moist. Like I literally like I tried to pick up the leg and the bone just came out. Like, yeah, that's what we're here for, baby. It was good. The one moist towelette that they give you to wipe off your feet is not sufficient.
Oh, that reminds me of Moist from Band. Good times.
Hold on, I got a yawn.
We're that boring, Daniel. Fuck.
No, sorry. It's just
all
late.
Right.
I was a good.
Just a career.
It's rapidly approaching my bedtime.
It is. I mean,
Go to sleep at like 9.
It's late.
I will say, like after college, where I was staying up to like fucking 3 or 4 in the morning all the time. I eventually became like a boomer, and I go to sleep sometimes like 9 as well, sometimes 11. Like it's like fuck, I'm tired now. I have to be up in the morning for shit. So
Eventually, your body just stops being able to commit it. It's like
Okay, I have. Go ahead, Charlie.
you were about to go into it. I could hear it in your voice. What is it, Daniel?
Well, I got shamed. Okay, shamed for going to sleep at like 10:30 by my sister.
Saying
I
that
can give you more
early or
context.
late?
That's a great question, and I appreciate that because that means it's a good time.
I feel like 10:30 is a very normal time to go to bed.
Well, let me give you some context because part of it's my sister. I'm calling her out. Okay. She said, "Why are you going to bed at 10:30?" I was like, "I feel like it's a reasonable time." It was on vacation. Does that affect it?
Okay. On vacation. Here's the thing. I don't think the window shifts on vacation. I think it simply widens. I think you can go to bed whenever the fuck you want on vacation.
Okay.
Like,
And
go to
then let
bed
me
at
also.
6 p.m., you go to bed at 2 a.m., either is acceptable.
Well, here's more. It's not like we were like going out in the town too. We were like in the hotel. Okay, that's the other thing. Like I can understand if you have plans, right? But this is like the day was done. We had been back from like I think we went to dinner. It was like a family vacation. We had been back from dinner for a couple hours by then. So,
Well,
yeah,
maybe they were just upset. Were you all in the same room?
We were in the same room, and she was upset that I turned off the lights at 10:30. When I told her I'm going to turn off the lights at 10:30, I told her pretty straight. I was like, well, she wanted to watch. What was it? I think she was watching like an NBA game or whatever, and I was like, okay, but I'm going to want to go to sleep at some point, so I don't want like this one big TV in the middle of the room, right? And I was like, I don't really want that if I want to go to sleep. So I was like, well, let's, and so I thought we were compromising, which at the time I was like, yeah, great. It was like, okay, you can watch like, maybe like the first 3 quarters, maybe it's the first half, whatever it is. We had some benchmark. It was like, but then she could watch on her phone too. It wasn't like, she had her phone and she could watch it in her bed on the other side of the room. So, that was again, and we agreed to it, but that's it. And so I guess halftime or whatever it was happened to be at 10:30. I was like, well, that's the threshold we agreed on. I turned off the lights in the next day. So
put it in the contract.
It was in the contract. Yeah. And so she's like, oh my God, why'd you go to bed so early? It was only 10:30. And I'm like, I feel like, and now she's in college. So she's still in that, I guess that mindset. She hasn't gotten old, like I guess the 3 of us have.
Yeah, got it.
I guess Chandler less so.
27 is old, yes.
Yeah, Chandler less so, but
I've got a couple more good years left in me. I can stay up without feeling too many negative effects. Although I will say I'm going to drag bingo with my friends this Wednesday, and I am very excited. But we're going to be out until midnight, and then I'm going to have to get up the next morning. And it's like it's like I'm not quite at the point where I will refuse plans that go late, but I know the regret will hit me the next morning more than it ever did when I was in college.
Well, you'll get to that point because like I stayed up until like 2 o'clock on Saturday night. That's a big boy hour for me. But like I can do it. It's more just you choose not to.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of it. It's like, why would I? I mean, I could stay up later, but also I could just go to sleep now. So
you get into once you get into an actual rhythm, because in college, like there was no rhythm. Like you went to bed whenever it happened. There was no structure to anything. It's like now it's like, okay, I want to be up by 6 every day. That means I have to be asleep by 10 every day. And then if you do that for a month, your body's like, okay, this is when I get sleepy now.
Oh, and I definitely woke up like at 6:30 on Sunday
It's
after
like
that.
the sleep is just gone. You don't get it back the
Yeah,
next day. You have
I
things to
was
do.
like, yeah, I was like, I slept like 4.5 hours. Well, I can't, and I couldn't go back to sleep. I was like, well, I guess I'll just start my day. This is just where I am. Because I'm also not a napper. I don't really take
Oh yeah, hell
naps.
no.
I'm gonna have to disagree on that front, folks.
No, I'm not. It's not it's just I can't. My body can't do it. Like I'll just end up. I'll try to take like a 20-minute nap, but it'll take me like 3 hours, and then I'm like, I feel like I'm just wasting my time.
I've perfected the formula to be able to, like, at least for me, what works for me when I need to nap. It's like I set a 25-minute alarm on my phone. I set it down, and then that 5 minutes is exactly the amount of time that I need to drift off. And then, like, at this point, I've trained my body in the art of the 20-minute nap that I almost always wake up before the alarm even goes off anyway, like with like 2 minutes to spare. And then I feel like 10 million times better. It does suck the first few times you do it and you wake up 20 minutes later when your body wants to sleep longer, though.
Interesting.
I've tried it all. I've tried all the hacks. I've done all the hacks.
I never could. My mom always told me I
Yeah.
was a light sleeper even as a baby, so I was fucked from the moment I came out the womb.
Yeah, I'm also a light sleeper too, so it just doesn't work.
I used to
That's
be way deeper of a sleeper than I am now. Like, my family always tells me the story of, like, I don't know if y'all in Georgia heard much about this, but we had some really nasty tornadoes come up through Alabama when I was a kid.
What year? Was it 08?
Say that one more time.
I was gonna say, was it 2008? 2011?
It must have been. It must have been.
One of those two, because I've got plenty of tornado stories to share.
Yeah. Anyway, nasty tornado came. Thankfully, our neighborhood wasn't too affected. But still did get, like, a really, really nasty storm. Probably one of the nastiest I've ever been in. But our house that we were in at the time, I was in a room in the basement, and the basement was like, kind of like, like very underground. A, and B, I was a super deep sleeper when I was a kid. And so I woke up and all of my family was in my room, like, sheltering from the storm. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, they all came in and, like, were, like, making a bunch of noise, and I didn't wake up until, like, 30 minutes later when they'd already been sitting there for a while, and they were like, we won't wake them up. Despite the fact that, like, wind and, like, pelting the house above.
Yeah, I've been, the closest I got to a tornado was the '08 outbreak, and the house shook. It was like it was like less than a mile down the road, and it was scurry, put it that way.
A few windows broke in our home, but it wasn't too bad. All things considered, again, did not even get close to how bad it was for, like, I think Tuscaloosa got the worst of it at that point. But yeah, I don't sleep nearly as deeply now. But here's the problem. Here's the real problem, right? Since I did marching band, I am cursed with a thirst for water that is so. I drink so much water all the time, and I love it. I love drinking water. I'm so hydrated, but I can't get through the night without having to piss, and it's tragic.
Yep, I'm the same way. I wake up every night, except, I'm not quite as hydrated these days.
I'm definitely not as hydrated as I was in my
we avoided dehydration only to be cursed with the opposite. Super hydration.
Yep. All right. What else is happening in your life, Daniel?
Me? No, nothing. No.
See, this is the fun part of the podcast, where we torment Daniel into divulging personal details, despite the fact that he does not want to give them.
To be fair, I've said a lot of personal stuff today, I feel like. I feel like I've given away a lot of information about.
Well, most of the stuff, the information that I'm interested in is about your 4 laptops, but that was lost because you weren't recording.
Yeah, most of it's gone.
4 laptops, though.
Okay, again, there's a. I'm not gonna get into all of it, but they each serve a different function. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Now, could one laptop do all of it? Probably, but that's not the point. Okay.
And what is the point, Daniel?
No, there is no point. So, but which is my point, because there would be no point to whatever.
Now I'm trying to tally how many computers I've had in my life, and I think it's only 3 in total. Because I had one garbage Mac when I was like a kid. Not like a MacBook, like a desktop computer Mac. That was like old even when I was a kid. And then I got my brick of a computer that lasted until last Christmas, and then I have my new laptop, which is quite good. So I've used less laptops or computers in my life than you currently own, Daniel.
Wow.
How does that make you feel?
Well, to be fair, okay, again, one of them, we gotta go through it. One of them is just a tablet kind of thing that I only use for recording this podcast, and you know what, I guess I kind of use it on the road, sort of a thing. Okay, see. And then one is a work laptop. Like, you know, these are really not, there's only 2 that really serve as personal use computers. And one of them I could retire. And maybe I should. But I won't. For reasons laid out before we started recording. So
we won't re-go down the same tangent.
Yeah, we won't go down that because it's too much trauma for Chandler. But why don't we talk about someone else then? I think we've tortured me enough here.
How many laptops have you used, Chase?
How many laptops have I used in my life, or now? In general, there's always one. I had one as a kid. There's this old shitty Toshiba gray thing that I installed like an emulator on, and it sucked. I had an Asus.
Nice.
It was great for a while, and then it died, and then my mother disassembled it to fix it, and that actually worked. Although the corpse of it was that was a story. That eventually broke. I got like a refurbed fucking it was a Gateway laptop. I didn't even know that was a brand or whatever. That was like a work computer for high school. And then I got an Acer. By the way, never buy an Acer. They suck. And
that's the computer I currently have, and it's
so sorry. It will work for a little while. Anyway, and I used that one for a while, for like 5 years, for college and like before I got a job, portfolio and shit.
Yeah.
And then like nowadays I use either my PC or a phone for anything. And so I've never had, like, I don't know, I'm kind of past the laptop phase, I'll put it that way. Unless I have to, like, at my last job, I had like a work laptop or whatever, but that's not mine. That didn't count.
Yeah. Yeah, my work, they did not give us a laptop, but as we all essentially just like remote desktop into our computers in the office.
Good old Citrix.
Yeah. It works fine.
It does not.
And our IT guy has to spend an hour, and then
You only have one IT guy for Citrix. God help your company.
We don't have a lot of employees. Like, we're a small company, so it's not that deep.
Oh, well, maybe the Citrix issues aren't as bad because when we used Citrix, it was a complete disaster. We were transitioning away from it because it was terrible. And at my mom's company, they all use Citrix, and it's a complete and utter nuclear fallout.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Could be worse on our end. But I mean, pretty much every day there is like a ping in the channel. It's like, Felix, help! It's broken again. But that dances between. So it's like, for me, it's only like once every 2 weeks, and then it doesn't take that long. I'm more tired than I normally am.
Well,
look, we can end it there if you guys are falling asleep.
the energy is
the podcast is just
powerful. It's just tiring him out.
Yeah. You know, it's so much for you guys. I mean, it is late. It's almost 8:00. So.
I'm either
are we officially boomers yet? Like, is that what's going on?
I think I think you've got a little bit more time left, but once you hit 30, it's like, it's all downhill.
Oh, there's the cliff.
Yeah.
29 is great. 30, you got a mortgage. You have kids.
In this economy.
You have a subprime mortgage.
Yeah.
God, I hope the housing market crashes before I turn 30.
I suspect that won't matter, but
See what happens, I guess.
We shall.